So take a moment now as we begin to make sure that you have everything that you need. And we are going to start lying down with the knees bent. So if you're in your bed, just bend your knees and have your feet standing. If you are on a yoga mat, you can have your base blanket and something for underneath the head. And the knees bent and the feet standing. And just take a moment first to notice how you feel right now. You've reached the end of the day. You can lay down all the things that have accumulated throughout the day. You might even imagine as if they were heavy bags that you're carrying on your shoulders. You might imagine peeling them off and just setting them to the side for now. If you still need them, they'll be there later. But just sense through the body, noticing the soles of the feet touching the mat or the bed, the feeling of the ankles and the lower legs, sensing the knees, the upper legs, the hips and the pelvis. And noticing the spine, the torso, the two sides of the torso, the waist, the chest, sensing the arms, shoulders, the neck and the head. And just the overall feeling of the body. Just how do you feel right now? And noticing how you have a sense of the shape that the body is in, how the limbs are positioned in relationship to each other, the distance between the feet, the distance between the hands, even the distance between, say, the hips and the shoulders, or the hips and the head. And if you were to imagine perhaps that your torso was a sort of a rectangle, like a napkin or a piece of paper, and that if I suggested that your torso had four corners, you could probably imagine that those four corners are, let's say, the two hips, the two sides of the pelvis, and the two shoulders. And that maybe the center of that rectangle you could imagine as the solar plexus or the navel. And just right now, you could sense again into the distance between the two lower corners, the two hips, the distance between the two upper corners. And just notice, does that feel symmetrical? Does it feel like they're even with each other? You might also notice the distance between your right hip and left shoulder, and left hip and right shoulder. Notice if those two lines feel like they're about the same length, or if maybe one feels shorter than the other. And then if I suggested that you could peel or fold the lower right corner, so your lower right hip, in towards that center point, like you could curl it in towards the navel or towards your solar plexus, just notice how you might begin to accomplish that. And then uncurl, unfold, release it back to the ground. And then try the left hip. If you think about folding in that left lower corner towards the navel, doesn't the left hip lift away from the ground and curl in a little bit towards midline, towards the navel, and then release? And then try the upper corners. What if you curl in the upper right corner, the right shoulder, towards the solar plexus or towards the navel? Can you feel the shoulder blade lifting away from the ground? Does that arm want to roll in towards the body? Just like a rolling pin, just let the arm roll. And then release. And then try the other shoulder. Does the left shoulder curl in likewise? Can you let that arm roll, just like a log, letting the arm roll in, internal rotation. That collarbone shortening on the front body, the shoulder blade lifting away from the ground. And then releasing. And then if you curl both lower corners in towards the navel, so both hips lift in towards the solar plexus or the navel, feel how maybe if the feet are involved in that in some way. Can you feel how the feet press down and away to help you accomplish that? And release. And then both shoulders curling in. Both shoulders curling in, the arms curl in. Can you feel the collarbones narrowing, shoulder blades widening as they lift? And then release. And then all four corners at once. Everything curls in towards midline, the feet press, the arms roll, maybe even the low belly lightly draws up and in, and release. Noticing how you feel. Now the question is, could the napkin fold the other way? So if you come back to your right hip, could you think about folding the napkin towards the center point of your back? How do you accomplish that? Can you maybe pull that heel just a little bit towards the buttocks? Does that seem to increase the arch in the low back on that side so that the upper back rim of the right side of the pelvic shell lifts? And then release. And try that on the left side. Pull with the left heel and notice if it rocks the left side of the pelvis forward so that the left sit bone comes a little bit closer to the ground. Left side of the waist lifts away from the ground. That left side of the low back arching. And release. Now before, to fold the upper corners in, we were rolling the arms in. If you roll your right arm out in the opposite direction and feel as if you are drawing your right shoulder blade down the back and towards the waist, can you feel that the top of the right shoulder blade comes closer to the ground? And you might even start to feel the lower tip of the right shoulder blade lift to lift the chest from behind. and release. And then try the left shoulder. If you roll your left arm out into external rotation, just like a log, can you feel a lift coming into the lower tip of the shoulder blade to lift the chest? And maybe the top of that shoulder blade starts to get a little closer to the ground. And then release. Now, if you pull both heels, do you feel both wheels of the pelvis, both sides of the pelvis, rolling anteriorly? So the whole top rim of the pelvis lifts, the bottom of the sacrum grounds into the earth, the spine arches. And let go of the pulling with the feet. Feel the spine release. And then as you roll both arms out, feel both shoulder blades draw onto the back body, lifting the chest. The collarbones widen. Front of the chest broadens, throat opening, lower jaw releasing, tops of the shoulder blades coming down a little closer to the earth, and release. And then you might have guessed we can do all four at once. So pull with both heels, roll both arms out, feel the whole spine arching away from the ground. Just a gentle, 10% effort here. And then release. Now, just notice what happens if you press with your left heel to roll the left corner, left lower corner in. And then could you fold the top right corner, top right shoulder in, rolling the right arm in. So the left hip and right shoulder are coming closer together. So you're shortening that side of the X. Earlier when we felt the distance across the body, we're shortening just this side of the X. And then release. And try the other side. Can you fold in with the right hip, press down and forward with the right foot, and fold in with the left shoulder. Roll that left arm in to lift the shoulder blade away from the ground. Now the other side of the X is shorter. And then release. And then of course the question is, can you do the opposite? Can you pull with your left heel towards the buttock and roll the right arm out, arching across the back functional line, and release. And then finally, can you pull with the right heel, rolling the left arm externally? So the left shoulder blade shimmies down the back towards the waist, right side of the pelvis rocks anteriorly. And then release. Now just pause for a moment and notice how you feel. And notice for yourself if there's any combination of what we just did that your body might like to do again, maybe one more time. Maybe it's rolling all four corners in. Maybe it's rolling all four corners out. Maybe you want to do both. Sometimes after an asymmetrical movement like that, the body just wants just something symmetrical to even it out. But your body may want one more than the other. So just notice what it's asking for. And take the time to do that. And then gently shake the head left and right, just rolling the head a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right, just feeling into the neck. You might soften the lower jaw, even let the mouth come open just a little bit. Ordinarily in yoga and in life, the recommendation is to breathe in and out through the nose, but sometimes it can be helpful for just a few moments just to let the mouth open so that we can release any sort of unconscious holding in the jaw. So as you're gently and slowly rocking the head side to side, you might notice if the lower jaw can release into the side that you're rocking towards. So just allow the weight of the lower jaw to fall to that side as you roll the head. You might also soften the area around the eyes and notice if you can let the eyes fall to the side that the head is rolling towards. And then eventually the head can find its way back to center. And you might stretch the legs long for just a moment, just to notice how the body feels, sensing again into the distance between the legs, between the arms. Feel again the distance from the left hip to the right shoulder, and the right hip to the left shoulder. Noticing if there's any change. And then bending the knees, and if you have any props that you want to add underneath the legs, like a couple of blankets or a couple of pillows, if you want to take the time to cover the body with a blanket, or to reach for your eye pillow, just remembering that we will be in stillness for the next 35, maybe 40 minutes. So your body temperature will likely drop a little bit. So my intention for this practice is to just share a practice that is oriented towards relaxation, towards calming, towards a deepening of our sense of well-being and safety in ourselves and in the world. And so to that end, I will spend some time early on in the practice just unfolding what we talk about as the inner resource in Yoga Nidra. And we'll experience that through the practice in an experiential sense. And there will be a nice long body sensing and breath sensing. And we'll explore opposites of sensation. Remember that this practice is for you. This is your time. And That if at any time something that I suggest doesn't feel right, then you are more than welcome to stay with what feels important in your experience, what feels important in your practice, and you can always rejoin my words when it does feel right. Also, this practice is one of the principles of the practice of iRest Yoga Nidra is the principle of welcoming and this idea that your experience is perfect just as it is. That there's really nothing here that needs to be fixed, nothing about you that needs to be different, nothing about you that needs to be better. You are welcome just as you are. Your experience is welcome just as it is. So I would invite you to come to the practice as much as we can with that spirit of welcoming and a spirit of curiosity about what might be here. So as you're settling in, you could start to become aware of your environment through the sounds that are coming to you in the room where you are. Even if it's simply the sound of your breath. And as you notice these sounds, sense into the ears. Notice how it is to feel this sense of hearing. And noticing the inside of the mouth and the sense of tasting. There may be a particular taste that's present. There may not be. But noticing the pure feeling of tasting. What does the sense of tasting feel like? Noticing the feeling of the nose and the sense of smelling. Just the pure feeling of your sense of smell. Welcoming the eyes, the feeling of the eyes, and your sense of sight. Eyes opened or eyes closed. Whether there are objects in your field of vision or simply shapes or colors, feeling your sense of sight. And noticing the feeling of the body and the sense of touching. Just the pure feeling of your sense of touch as you sense into the body. And this body feeling often brings with it just our pure feeling of aliveness. Can you feel how you are alive right now? What evidence do you have in this moment of your aliveness? Is it a humming feeling, or is it the heartbeat? A feeling of radiance through the whole body, a warmth, a coolness. Let your attention move into the center of the chest, the feeling of the heartbeat, the feeling of the heart center, and notice if there is some feeling of a heart's mission that might reveal itself to you. The important thing isn't that there is an answer or that there is something crystal clear. The important thing is the question. Asking yourself, is there something I really want from this life? Is there something I feel called to? Is there a quality that I want to embody throughout my life? Like love, truth, compassion. Whatever you find here, notice how it lands as sensation in the body, and if there are words that go with it, maybe it's an affirmation or just a word or two, you could repeat them to yourself silently as a vow. Let them resonate through the body. And whatever's here, notice if there's an intention for this practice that might come out of this heart's mission. It may be as simple as just experiencing the practice, letting yourself rest back and be renewed. And as you feel into this heart's mission and any intention that might be present, noticing the sensations present in your body, noticing any sensations of ease or comfort. Maybe it's a feeling of simple okayness, just being here. And you might let these feelings be the foundation of an inner sanctuary or an inner resource. And it could be that you imagine or remember a place in nature, a place that's important to you, a place where you feel at home, where you feel held, secure, at peace. And so if there is such a memory or an imagining, let that come foreground now and feel yourself in that place. Enlivening it with all of the senses, noticing the smells that would be present and the feeling of the air on your skin and the sounds. Maybe there is water nearby, maybe there's not. Are there other people there? People you love and who love you? Maybe there's a beloved pet and you can feel their fur or their wings or their scales under your hand as you caress them. Keep feeling into this inner sanctuary and letting it saturate the whole body with sensations of calm and ease and peace. And at some point, you might let go of the image or the memory and find that the sensations remain. And that maybe even there is something deeper here, a feeling of simply being, a stillness that is the ground underneath all of these feelings of ease, of peacefulness. This still ground of being. The more that we rest into the ground of being and the inner resource, the more that we invite these sensations in, the more that we nourish them, the more they will be there for us, providing resilience, providing peace in moments of distress and throughout our lives. So you could even choose to stay here with this feeling experience for the rest of the practice. Or if you'd like, you can follow along, noticing sensations through the body as I name the body parts. Just beginning with the feeling of the mouth, noticing the hinges of the jaw, the lips, the teeth, the tongue. The feeling of the whole mouth just as it is. Noticing the ears, the left ear, right ear. Sensing the cheeks, the cheekbones, temples, and the eyes, the left eye and the right eye. Letting go of thinking or visualizing and simply sensing, welcoming your first-hand experience. Sensing the scalp, the back of the head, the back of the neck, the inside of the throat. Simply feeling the inside of the throat. Welcoming the right shoulder, right upper arm, right forearm, right hand, the whole right arm. Welcoming the left shoulder, left upper arm, left forearm, left hand, whole left arm and hand. Sensing both arms together. Sensing the inside of the throat. The inside of the chest. The inside of the front of the chest. Inside of the back of the chest. The very center of the chest feeling. Sensing inside the abdomen. Inside of the front of the abdomen. Inside of the back of the abdomen. The very center feeling of the abdomen. Sensing the inside of the pelvis. The inside of the front of the pelvis. Inside of the back of the pelvis. The very center of the pelvis feeling. The whole torso. Sensing the whole torso. Inside and outside. Welcoming the right hip, right upper leg, right knee, right lower leg, right foot, the whole right leg. Sensing the left hip, left upper leg, left knee, left lower leg, left foot, the whole left leg. Both legs together. Sensing both legs, the torso, both arms, the neck and head, the whole body. Sensing the whole body inside and outside. Welcoming the body just as it is. Nothing to fix or change. Welcoming the wave of the breath. Noticing how the breath moves. There may be an impulse to want the breath to be different. Or could you invite it in just as it is, like an honored guest? And you could just stay with the feeling of the breath as it is, noticing the body sensation of inhale and exhale, how the chest or belly is moving with the breath. Or you might want to count the breath. You could start with 1 and count up to 5. And that would go like this: an inhale and then an exhale is 1 breath. Inhale, exhale, 2. Inhale, exhale, 3. And just continue counting the breaths until you get to 5. And if you lose track, you can start again at 1. Or if you get to 5, you could start again at 1. This is a way to start to train our attention. Attention training is a part of meditation. So simply counting the breath from 1 up to 5. Noticing where you are in the counting now. Remembering you can always return to the feeling of the inner resource at any time, inviting in those sensations of calm, peace, the feeling of being. And then letting go of counting, simply being with the breath, welcoming the wave of its coming and going, welcoming it just as it is. And then recalling a feeling of coolness in the body. You might sense a part of the body that already feels cool, or remember what it feels like when the body feels cool or cold. Sense the body as cool, cold, the whole body chilled. And then invite in a feeling of warmth. Maybe there's already a place in the body that feels warm. Invite that to spread so that the whole body feels warm or even hot. Recalling the feeling of warmth through the body. Sensing the body as cool or cold again. And then welcoming warmth or hot, feeling the body full of heat. And you can move back and forth between these opposites at your own pace, once or twice. Feeling first one and then the other. And then notice what it feels like to feel both. Can you feel the body as both warm and cool simultaneously? Let go of thinking. Feel your way into feeling these opposites simultaneously. And as you're feeling and sensing into these opposites of sensation, notice how there might be a new sensation that emerges. A feeling of openness, spaciousness, a feeling of broadening, like the container of you has suddenly gotten much bigger. You might let yourself rest back into this spaciousness, this feeling of awareness, you might call it. It might be that you rest into that simple feeling of just being here. And as you pause here, notice any emotions or thoughts that emerge. There might be a residue from the day or from the week that is asking for your attention. And how is it to simply let it emerge? Let it float into view like a cloud floating through the sky. Noticing how it has a feeling in the body, whatever it is, whether it's an emotion or a thought or a story. How as it floats through, there's a feeling associated with it in the body. Is it possible to simply let it be there just as it is? Feel that feeling that arises in the body with the thought, with the emotion. Welcoming in the inner resource to be there right alongside it, almost like they're being interwoven into each other. And then whatever's here, it might dissolve on its own, or you might let it fall away and let the inner resource or the feeling of being or that feeling of open, spacious awareness come into the foreground. And as you rest here in this spaciousness or this ground of being or this restful ease that you actually are, that is your essential nature. Letting it permeate through the whole body. Welcoming these naturally arising qualities that may emerge, such as joy, gratitude, love, peacefulness. These qualities may even bring a quiet smile to the mouth or a feeling of warmth to the heart. You might feel them spread through the body, these feelings of joy or gratitude or love spreading from the heart into the belly and the limbs. As the whole body filled with joy, with love, with peace. The body's so full of these qualities that it spills out, the skin permeable, as if with every exhale, these feelings of joy and gratitude and peace just spread beyond the skin and start to fill the room around you. So that every one of us is filling our space with love and peace. All of us breathing here together in peaceful joy. You could even imagine that your dearest loved ones are breathing with you, joyfully peaceful. And imagining perhaps even acquaintances, people you don't know very well, all breathing with you, peaceful and at ease, full of love. Feeling even for a moment the whole world, every being, breathing at ease, peacefully joyful together. And yourself, breathing peacefully, joyfully, sensing back into the heart, into the heart's mission. Reaffirming your vow to yourself, or noticing if there's something new, something blossoming right now. Making any intentions that feel right, that feel needful. And continuing to feel into this peaceful groundedness, the inner resource, the feeling of being, the spacious vastness of awareness. And at the same time, feeling the body resting, supported, the breath moving in and out, the heart beating, the cool air on the skin. Welcoming an opportunity to choose. to decide whether you want to stay just where you are and simply drift off to sleep, or if you'd like to come very briefly to a seated posture